Loki, Season 1, Episode 5. It wasn't as eventful as I thought it would be, but it wasn't bad either. It gives us a lot of good information. It gives us an idea of what's going on. It takes off almost immediately after Loki gets zapped and realizes he's not dead and there are other Lokis around. So he meets the other Lokis. They've got Kid Loki in there, which is kind of cool. I think he's going to be around for a while. I'm not positive on that, but I'd probably bet $1 he's going to be around. Classic Loki from the original Journey to Mystery, where he and Thor battled for the first time in Marvel Comics. That was kind of cool. He was more magical then, I think. And the classic Loki is more magical now. And he conveys to the other Loki, look at the stuff I can do, yada, 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 hocus pocus. And he's like, how are you doing that? He's like, you guys using those knives. But there's so much more to you, you can do more stuff, man. So, because if you think about it, he always conjures his knives, and he's ready for a knife fight, But honestly, you would expect Loki to cast more spells if he were like the comic book Loki, to be more zappy, and he's not as zappy as he is. But it looks like he's starting to learn to be more hocus pocus zappy, which is kind of cool. I would dig a more powerful Loki. I don't have a problem with a more powerful Loki. But he's cast off into the end of time, and there appears to be some type of a city there. You know what? I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. When he gets there, he meets the other Lokis. He finds out about the other Lokis, and for some reason, he's more motivated than they are to try to escape. Apparently, they tried, they gave up. He wants to try and succeed, and since he's a particular star of this show, he's going to. So he wants to do that, and he wants to get out. There is a tremendously large problem that they have to face in order to leave where they're at. So there's that. Sylvie, on the other hand, realizes that Loki's not dead. He's just zapped to another dimension. So she decides to follow him. After telling Renslayer that, hey man, this is all not real, You've seen behind the curtain, like the Wiz. You know that's not really Oz back there. That's what you're going to do. And she looks like she's kind of interested in figuring it all out, but at the same time, it's Renslayer, so she's going to betray you just as bad as a Loki would. So, she zaps herself, and she goes to where Loki is, so that they can team up and try to... She meets up with Loki, and together they decide to try to defeat the terrible, bad thing that's stopping them from leaving. Morbius is there also. Morbius comes in for the save, which was kind of cool. I have theories, though. I have theories. Next week is the last Loki, at least for season 1. So they're going to have to tell us the big bad then. Probably at the end of the episode, because I'm pretty sure it's Kang. I'd bet a nickel on that. And if it is, in fact, Kang, it would lead up to the Ant-Man series, which I'm hoping happens. So, I'm pretty sure it's Kang. It's got to be Kang. When the Avengers first announced, when Marvel first announced that the Avengers are going through time, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be Kang or Mortis or Tempest or one of those time dudes. It's got to be. And more than likely Kang, because he's the more popular of the three. And it wasn't. So, they went through time. Kang had to know about it. Imagine this. Kang rules a large chunk of time. And so does Immortus, who is also Kang in the future. A large chunk of time. That's his domain. And he rules it because he can travel back and forth through time. Imagine putting it in perspective. Imagine you're a warlord and you have an area that's 100 miles, and all of that is under your domain because you have the ability of I don't know bazookas. You got bazookas, right? Nobody else has got bazookas, and then you hear maybe on the outskirts of your land that some of your warriors tell you, "Hey, man, we're losing a little bit of land." And you're like, "That's impossible." And they're like, "No, somebody else has got bazookas too." That would make you very interested because you rule your land because of bazookas. Going back to Kang, he rules that time period because of his ability to move back and forth through it. Now the Avengers have just traversed through time. That would catch his attention. He's got to be like, "They did what?" So he's going to go over there and check it out. So I'm thinking, even if he didn't show up then, he's got to be aware of them. And then everybody started bouncing through time. Scott Lang and Ant-Man, he basically was bouncing through time. And I'm like, well, that's twice, right? And then when he was there, he saw that small city. Someone had to have helped the Wasp alive, right? She was there, Janet. She was there, and she survived for what for her would have been years. So I'm thinking, how'd she do that, man? She got gray hair now. She's all old. How'd she live there? Food, sustenance. She's got these new abilities. I don't know. And it's possible that they could throw us a curve and Renslayer, who was supposed to be the girlfriend / wife of Kang, could possibly be one of his servants. And Janet Van Dyne got with Kang, and she's his, girl Friday. She survived because he allowed her to survive. And when they knew that people were coming back through time or into the quantum verse, the microverse, when they were coming back through it, he said, "Go on, get your homie. Go see your husband. Set up for me because I'll be coming soon. Be prepared." And maybe she's just there to help him because she's got these wacky powers that they didn't really explain. Because Scott Lang went there and he didn't come back with no powers. Ant-Man went there, he didn't come back with any powers. But she came back. Maybe it's because her body had time to absorb it. Maybe she's a mutant. I don't remember that from the books. But she came back with superpowers and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe she's got a connection to Kang. Because remember, there's a city where she was at. And Kang has a city in the center of time, Chronopolis. So she may have been there. I'm thinking, I'm throwing theories out. Who knows? But either way, Kang should show up in the last episode of Loki because it's time, man. He's the ruler of time. It's got to be him, right? That's like going to Latveria and not running into Doom. That's like going to Metropolis and not seeing Superman. That's like going to Gotham, committing a bunch of crimes in the middle of the night, setting off fireworks, and no crazy dude in a bat outfit hits you in the face with a batarang. It's going to happen. So you bouncing around through time, got to meet Kang, right? That's what I think. Pretty sure. And for those who don't know, Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. And Kang rules time. He's from the future. He rules time. And eventually, he's given a chunk of time to guard over and protect. And in his future, he becomes a Time Lord named Immortus, who has a partner / slave called Tempest, who's a gigantic time entity, who is no joke. So it's kind of a twisty story, a lot of moving parts, but basically Kang rules time travel. So if you time travel, you're messing with his stuff, man. You're messing with his stuff. So he's going to come. And that's always what happens in the books. So I assume it's got to be how he is going to be in the movies or something pretty close to it. But that's what I think. More importantly, what do you think? I would give this episode of Loki a nice solid 7. 7 bags of popcorn. Not the series, just this episode. 7 bags of popcorn. I want to do some more talk on Kang, but save that for another video. Now that we've had a chance to talk, what do you think? Let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.